We're going to start the meeting in a minute, please. Okay. As a reminder, if you want to make public comment during any one of the items that are before us, please fill out a comment card. Good morning. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners on May 4th, 2021. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bernard,
Here.
Mayor Kerner, Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner McKinley,
Here.
Commissioner Sachs, Vice Mayor Weinroth, Commissioner Weiss.
Okay, we have a quorum of 6 members of the board. We are expecting that the mayor is going to be online at the point in time when he is available. We will announce him, but I'm going to ask for a motion to allow the mayor to join us if he is so able to. He is in Tallahassee on board business. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have a second. All in favor? All opposed? So the mayor will be allowed to join the meeting when he is on the WebEx. Commissioner Bernard, would you please do the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. Dear God, as we gather here today, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard.
Mr. Mayor? How are you? Just one clarification for the record. The motion that the board just made to allow the mayor to participate online, that was due to an extraordinary circumstance. So I just wanted that to be reflected in the record. I know that was inherent in the motion, but I wanted those words there.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, County Administrator, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, we do on page 40, 5C1, we have a revision deleting the language that requires conveyance must be approved by a supermajority vote. That was done by a prior board when the contract was entered. And then on page 41, 5D1, we are adding language in the middle of the summary to further explain what we're doing, and that is to discuss the 2021 redistricting process. That concludes the additions and deletions.
Thank you. And I have word that the mayor is now online. Mayor, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, I can.
Thank you. Very good. We made a motion that you can participate in the meeting today. I'm going to look for a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Commissioner Weiss, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor? All opposed? I'm going to show it as approved, 7-0. We're now going to move on to the consent agenda. Do we have any comments on the consent agenda, Commissioner Bernard?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody want to pull anything off the consent agenda? Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Commissioner Weiss, seconded by Commissioner Marino. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, consent agenda has been approved, 7-0. It's time for our favorite part of the meeting, our special presentations, and I'm looking for Dr. Alonso and Ms. Blakeney to come up and join us. I know it's my favorite part of the meeting.
Mayor.
Did you want to speak on anything? Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor, for today, Vice Mayor. Good morning. I'd like to address the governor's order, Executive Order 21102, issued on yesterday. First, I would like to say that marching through this pandemic has made us all, or me, and my partners stronger and attentive to the public's well-being and health. Every action taken by me as your county administrator and incident commander has been evaluated in detail with consultation by the EPG, county attorney, the public, and with county commissioners. We are going to follow the governor's order and CDC guidelines. The governor's order has usurped our countywide mandate. After a brief consultation with staff, input from others, it is my intent to continue the use of masks by employees and patrons to do business inside county buildings. We are short-staffed to start with. Hurricane season is soon upon us, and I need to protect our most valued asset, and that is our employees and the public. The county is offering an incentive for employees to get vaccinated. That is through our wellness program. It is not out of my Avalon budget. Another continued effort to promote vaccines, and especially for our county employees. Other constitutional officers in this particular building agree that in order to keep their employees safe, they will only conduct business with people that have masks on them. And that is the property appraiser and the tax collector. The clerk of courts will work with whatever decision the county comes up with. The declaration of state of emergency remains in effect. That does allow us to submit our costs to FEMA for consideration of reimbursement. So unless the board gives me different direction, I will continue to move forward with masks required in our buildings to do business. That's to protect our patrons and to also protect our employees.
Very good. I'm seeing no red lights, so I don't think anybody has any comments on that. And so
Thank you for your support.
And you certainly have our support, and we certainly are very satisfied with your job as incident commander. Okay, Dr. Alonso, you're on.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and most of all, my incident commander. Good morning. I have a very brief presentation today because we're basically covering just some important points that I want everyone to take a look at. We can see our numbers from compared to last meeting, I'm sorry. We can see that the number of cases have gone down as well as have the deaths. This is the graphic that I've showed you since the beginning, but I wanted to use the CDC graph that has the 7-day running average so that we can see, particularly to the right. Let's see, and I get this little thing to go up here. This curve, as it was coming down, we were concerned about this little blip, and then it started going up, but here it is coming down now. And I think you can see that more clear in the CDC because they're using the 7-day running. And this one is coming down also, but it's a little harder to see. So from now on, I'm going to use this graph so that it's more clear, if that's okay with everybody. Our next point is this that I want to discuss because this is very important that we take a look at this. As you know, I have been saying that it's the 15 to 44-year-olds where we had about a very large number of cases. But what we're seeing now is that it's creeping up and down. It's spreading the number of new cases. So you can see that the 5 to 14-year-old now has 10% of the new cases. This was not like that before. And so we're concerned about that. It is very fortunate that Pfizer, in the next week or so, is going to release the 12 to 16-year-olds. So in other words, the 12 to 15, because we can now vaccinate with Pfizer 16 and above. So this will give that age group the ability to get vaccinated. And it's very, the timing is very good because we're seeing these numbers creep up in that 5 to 14-year-olds. So that'll give some of those younger kids the ability to get vaccinated. They're continuing to work. They're going to continue doing other age groups. And I hope that by the end of this, we'll be able to vaccinate everybody in the community like we do with the regular flu vaccine. We're also, it has spread somewhat down. So we can see the 45 to 54 also taking up 15. It's fluctuated between 15 and 16%. So if you take the entire box, that's 82% of the new cases are in that red box, from the 5 all the way to the 54-year-olds. That's very significant. So that's where our new cases are coming from. As you can see, in the 65 and over, we only have 9%. Last time we met, it was 8%. So that's staying very low. Therefore, these people are not going to the hospital, and they're not dying as many. I mean, we still have deaths, but not as many. And so that's keeping our cases, even though our cases are going up or fluctuating, that we're not seeing the deaths have continued to go down. So that's a good indicator. But we do have to attack. In other words, we have to go after this box in order to get those number of cases down, and most importantly, in that age group, stop those long-term consequences that we know that those individuals we're now finding severe consequences, sometimes worse than their illness that might only be 3 or 4 days, and then they recuperate, but then they have long-term effects after that. So that's an important point to make in terms of my going forward with the presentation. The next slide is a summary of the vaccine. So what I did is I took our numbers out of our vaccine summary report, I put them up here, and then I put the total and utilized the data that we have of our population from the 2019 census, so we stay consistent with what we've been using from before, the 1,496,770 2019 census, and I subtracted the population that's not in play right now, which is the 0 to 15. That's about 256,546, and I suppose that there may be some discrepancy the way you calculate that, which database you use and so forth, but it's around that number. So the total population able to be vaccinated, instead of 1.4, it's 1,240,224. So taking the total people vaccinated either with first doses, which is this number, or the people that have completed the series, this number, or those who have either the first and or the series, the total number vaccinated, you can get the percentage of our population that is able to get vaccinated. So for completed series, 37.35% of our population have had their series completed, so under 50%. For total vaccinated, in other words, they've had at least the first dose or the series completed, it's 52% of our population. So as you can see, we're nowhere near any kind of herd immunity here nor in the country. The number of vaccines have been going very fast. The vaccines are very well available now everywhere in the country, as well as for doctors' offices. We are helping some offices that have not gotten their full vaccination supply. We're supplementing them with vaccine that we have ordered, because we've ordered enough vaccine to be able to help all our local folks here. We're also going to the ports. We've helped out with the jails. We've helped out many places. We'll be making a full plan to go out and mobilize our mobile units to go to spots that are still underserved or that need to have help in order to get people vaccinated. And so that plan, we'll be working on that specifically on Thursday so that we cover the community as widely as possible and as efficiently as possible with a good plan that would cover everywhere that is needed. The whole idea here is that we want to get more people vaccinated. The number of vaccines in arms peaked at 3.5 million, above 3.5 million in one day when we added the new groups to our vaccinations. We're well over the goal that the president made of over 200 million, but we have to do more because it is not likely that we're going to reach herd immunity. In 2009, when we had the H1N1, we didn't reach herd immunity for 2 years. So it's not likely that we're going to reach that herd immunity at this point, even though we're vaccinated at a very fast clip. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it's, the experts are saying, that it's not likely that we're going to reach herd immunity before this is over. So what is it that we're left? So for people who cannot get vaccinated, their only protection is the mask. So we're going to obviously continue to encourage people that can't get vaccinated to use their mask, because now when you're in public, you're not going to know who's out there vaccinated or who's not vaccinated. When you're indoors, we're still all at risk, and we know that the vaccine's only 95% efficient, so you still have the possibility of getting infected. So the other issue that I also wanted to say for the record is that our state is still at a very high virus spread. Okay, we're still in the high zone for the entire state of Florida. Our county is, the only two counties that are at the top of the highest level is Miami and Dade, and for the southeast, we definitely have the most virus. We're right below Miami and Dade, so we are at the second level of the proportion per 100,000. We're at 10,558 per 100,000. That's high. If you take that into a percent, that's a 10.5%. So that's why I continue to say that our daily positivity and our total positivity have an effect. That's what's telling you how much virus is in the community. So please keep that in mind as you walk around, either outside or you're inside restaurants especially, or crowded events such as sports event. When you go out now, those who choose to go without the mask, keep that in mind. We're also want to make sure that anybody who wants to get vaccinated has the opportunity to do that. There is plenty of vaccine. We have open appointments. We're going to remain appointments at the Mid-County Center with the Health Department, and we will also be distributing vaccine to those who need it or who are having difficulty getting it through other sources. So please call us. We're here to help everybody, and most importantly, to put as many shots into people's arms as possible. Mary is going to give us our CPR report so that you know exactly where we are in terms of the data, and I will take questions after she finishes.
Thank you, Dr. Alonso. Ms. Blakeney, you are recognized.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Administrator Baker. Today is the 414th day of our EOC activation, so I'm going to present to you the findings of this week's phase restart program. You can follow along with the information I provided to you. As you will see on the matrix, we did not meet two of the indicators in this week's matrix. So regarding our overall positivity rate, The overall positivity rate continues to increase. It's currently at 16.50%. And that graph in the upper right-hand corner shows the overall positivity rate, which has steadily increased since October of 2020. But the lower left-hand graph indicates the last month of testing, and the red line indicates the 7-day running average. But regarding the daily lab positivity, this week we saw the 7-day and the 14-day positivity rates drop for the second week in a row. The lower left-hand graph shows our daily lab positivity rate has averaged at 5.81%, which is just above our targeted 5%. The red line on this graph indicates the 7-day running average. Regarding our hospital census, as the chart in the lower left shows, over the last 2 weeks, we saw a decrease in patients hospitalized with COVID-19. We are currently seeing approximately less than 4% of our total hospital beds countywide being used for COVID-19. The chart in the upper right shows the historical trend of COVID-19 hospitalizations since July. As it relates to our COVID-19 deaths, the graph on the upper right corner shows our COVID-19 related deaths continue to decline. We have seen our death rate decrease slowly since mid-July. Our death rate currently stands at 1.92%. Regarding our positive ICU cases, over the last month, we've seen our COVID-19 patients in our intensive care units countywide fluctuate. The graph in the upper right shows the overall COVID ICU cases since May of 2020. The graph in the left corner shows the last 2 weeks trend. Approximately 62 patients a day account for our ICU bed utilization countywide. Regarding our med alerts by Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, this is a representative countywide sample of people with COVID-like illnesses who call 911. They're considered a med alert. We can see by the chart in the lower left corner that med alerts have fluctuated over the last 2 weeks. This past week, the average was less than 6 patients per day. Regarding our emergency departments with COVID-like illnesses, we have seen that weekly counts of emergency department visits presenting with COVID-like illnesses have increased over the last 4 weeks. But this week, our COVID-like illnesses decreased to 520 visits. We continue to provide COVID testing, having conducted over 871,929 tests countywide. Residents continue to have access to over 115 sites, and Palm Beach County Fire Rescue continues to take appointments for homebound residents. We continue to have our multi-agency leadership calls. As we transition away from our government-led mass vaccination sites with the healthcare district, our current focus is to roll out, as Dr. Alonso said, our grassroots mobile vaccination strategy. This strategy will be developed using data available to us regarding vaccine distribution throughout the county. We continue to have calls with the state EOC 3 times a week. We have our weekly municipal and university partner calls, and we hold bi-monthly hospital calls. In closing, our previous presentation of the CPR matrix showed 5 red areas. This week, we are at 2. This week, we saw our overall positivity rate continue to climb, and the 14-day death rate increased slightly. On a positive note, our 7 and 14-day positivity rates decreased, our death rates overall decreased, our emergency department and ICU rates decreased, as well as our med alerts. And our contact tracers have connected with 90% of their clients within 48 hours. And we have vaccinated over 654,716 people in Palm Beach County. We continue, as Dr. Alonso said, encouraging people to get vaccinated while continuing to wear a mask, wash our hands, and watch our distance. That's the end of my
Thank you, Ms.
report.
Blakeney. And I don't see any lights up here, but I'm just going to summarize and say, I got a couple of lights, but certainly with the mandate now being taken down by the governor doesn't mean that people should feel that they can't wear a mask, and that's important. People should feel that if they need a mask, if they have a cold, or if they're going to be in a situation where they're going to be with people they don't know in tight quarters, they should continue to wear a mask. Just because it's not mandatory doesn't mean that you have to throw the mask away. So businesses still are entitled to have their own rules. So if you go into a particular establishment and they require a mask, they are entitled to ask that their customers wear a mask and their employees wear a mask. And so continue to do what's right for you and your family. Keep on doing, as we just said, the 3 W's, where it makes sense, wear a mask where it's appropriate, always washing your hands. Let's not lose sight of the fact that's how we spread germs, and just watch your distance. And if we continue to do that, we are going to get over the hump. And Commissioner Weiss, you were recognized.
Thank you. Good morning. Question, we were looking for the data, the vaccination data by zip code. Have we made any progress on getting that?
Yes, I forgot to mention that. There was a glitch with Florida Shots. We're still working on that today. So some of the data from April was not available to us, and we couldn't download some of the information. So we're still working on that. They've been working over the weekend to get that fixed, and we hope to have it for our planning on Thursday. So as soon as we get that up, then we will be able to send a note to the state to get permission to share it with you guys.
Okay. And do you think that data will be available now on a routine basis to continue to monitor what's
Sure,
happening?
I just have to ask for permission to have it on a weekly basis if that's
Okay.
how we want it.
And then,
Is that what the commission wants, to see the,
I think it would be a good
Yes.
idea until,
okay.
see how we're progressing. And then, Ms. Blakeney, when we're reporting the number of deaths for the previous week or for the past week. So last week, there were 23 deaths in Palm Beach County. Are those the deaths that the medical examiner is reporting to the state that week, or are those the backfilled data where it's actually by that date?
We get the data right from the Department of Health, so a lot of it is backfilled. So when on your matrix, when we talk about a 7-day and a 14-day, it's the last 7 days of deaths reported and the last 14 days of deaths reported. So it may not be the actual week, it's the last 7 days where deaths were reported.
So, okay, so let me just, I'm trying to understand this. So if I go back to May 4th, so we said there were, in the Palm Beach County, there had been 2,774 deaths. The previous week, there had been 2,051 deaths. So are you saying that those 23 deaths actually occurred during the week of May 4th, or I'm really...
No.
No.
No, let me help you with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those deaths get reported to us. They get put into the date where the actual death occurred.
But
So
when
it
we're
could go
seeing-
back 2 weeks from the day it gets reported,
So,
or more. That's why those deaths change all the time. The numbers that you see in the columns, we update that every time. When Ed does those charts for you, he updates that based on where those deaths are being put, and that can be daily. So when you look at the graph where it says Florida deaths or Palm Beach deaths, that graph is always going to be short the last week.
right,
Actually, you shouldn't look at it for the past 2 weeks because
at least,
they're going to be changing.
maybe even longer.
So you need to really sort of look at the deaths a little bit, maybe 4 weeks. And that's why they're so consistent with doing that running average from the beginning, so you can really look at the whole graph and not just those last 2 weeks. That's always going to be confusing to people, and it's not a true picture of how many deaths we're going to actually end up with 2 weeks from now.
So you guys are going back in and refilling in these numbers across here?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No. I'm only doing, on this chart, on the CPR
I'm sorry.
matrix,
I didn't see the chart yet.
I'm only updating the week that is being reported. We're not going backwards and looking at the old data backwards. So you're seeing what was actually reported each week, but
So
they
that's what
are
the
going
medical-
back in the system,
Okay,
correct?
so this is what the medical examiner is reporting, but they could go back potentially
Right.
4 weeks.
I'm not updating, I'm not changing any of the past CPR data on this that I've shared with you all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sorry for that. When you pulled it up, I was thinking of the other chart. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
I
Thank
was
you.
looking at it, but wasn't seeing it.
Commissioner McKinley?
Thank you. Dr. Alonso, explain to me again why we have to get permission to share something that's otherwise public information.
Anything that comes out of my office has to go through communication, anything. So everything that I send out, I send to the state for the communication department, because they want to make sure that what I'm sending out.
So, but this data is collected on a daily basis because the information is entered into Florida Shots. So, I mean, we should be getting this information on a weekly basis the same way you're giving this other information to us.
Actually, in reality, we were only going to report it on a monthly basis because we wanted to collect all the data from the month. If I give it to you on a weekly basis, you're going to see the same numbers because they may not be in Florida Shots yet. It takes a while for especially the strike teams and all the different offices that we have to enter that. It doesn't go into real time sometimes, so it can take a couple weeks for that to get caught up.
Okay,
So if I
well,
give it to you on a daily basis, you're not going to see a lot of change. We were trying to do it once a month so you could compare how it's been growing from month to month.
Okay, and what were the last numbers you gave us?
I gave you December, January, and February, and then we added March, but we didn't present that here at that time. We were waiting for April because we had not put in the new state. In other words, when you looked at the zip codes and there were those areas that were at 25%, we had not started the state vaccinations at those sites until April. So what we were looking for is that April number so that we could see if that has been increased in those areas.
All right, I mean,
That's the number we're looking at now that's coming up, the April numbers. That's what we're trying to get.
I know, I would appreciate any information at this point rather than no information.
Sure.
It's frustrating. I'd like to see if we're doing as good of a job as some of these numbers portray. I want to thank you. I know next week we will complete our farm worker vaccination efforts. We created a list where we had reached out to our area growers, and every area grower that wanted their workers vaccinated was able to make that happen, and it'll close out next week. Ahead of the next growing season, our farm workers will return to this area, usually in September is when they start to arrive. I'd like to work on making sure we have a system set up for when they arrive. Hopefully they'll be vaccinated before they leave their native countries, but in the event they aren't, I don't want to be juggling around like this again. So if we can coordinate some sort of round table with our growers to find out when they're arriving back in and make sure that we have dates and opportunities set up.
Absolutely, that's a great idea, thank you.
Okay, and then I just, as your president of the Association of Counties, I just want to say we released a formal statement expressing our frustration with the surprise announcement yesterday and the complete lack of coordination with local governments and how to handle that rollout. We weren't given any heads up. We struggled all day to get a copy of that executive order. It wasn't available until sometime after 5 p.m. We're trying to manage information to our constituents, and it's hard to understand what the heck is going on when an announcement is made without any written backup. It's also frustrating because we should be an equal partner, and we're recognized as an equal partner from our colleagues in Washington who believe that the local government, that we're the boots on the ground. And it's sad to see that slowly being eroded by our state government. We should be working hand in hand together. We should be partners, not adversaries. And I hope that after this session and another slashing of local government home rule authority, that perhaps our legislators and our leaders in Tallahassee will actually try to work with us instead of against us. It's easy to point the finger in this pandemic because it was unprecedented and everybody was dealing with an unknown at the time, and we did the best that we could, and I'm proud of our efforts. And any economic successes that this state right now has should be shared with the actions that local government took to keep our numbers low. If we hadn't put measures in place, our numbers would have been higher. And when we put those measures in place, we were instructed to do what was best for our community by the leadership in Tallahassee. They didn't believe a one-size-fits-all was the appropriate step to take in Florida. I'm not exactly sure what happened overnight and why that was suddenly changed yesterday, but we will abide, of course, by those new executive orders. But we're partners in this. We're not enemies. And I want to thank our staff, and I want to thank all of the residents in Palm Beach County who did their part, who didn't make some of the decisions that we made to protect public health, didn't make those decisions political, and recognize that our right to keep the public healthy, to keep people from getting sick, from getting this virus, was probably greater than somebody not wanting to wear a mask. And anybody that had a reason, a medical reason for not wearing a mask, was provided an exemption not to wear their mask. So to every Palm Beach County resident and visitor who followed the rules the best they could, look, even I'm not perfect, and I think that was highlighted last week. We all did the best that we could, and hope that our numbers will continue to drop, and that we don't see a variant surge in the coming months as these decisions have all been lifted. So thank you, Dr. Alonso. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Bill Johnson. Thank you, Darcy Davis. Thank you, Ms. Baker, to our fire rescue partners, to everybody else who did the best they could to protect the public.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Weiss, you are recognized.
Thank you. I had questions come in from constituents in regards to vaccinations, and are they required to have picture ID to get vaccinated?
A what ID?
A picture ID.
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, letters can be written from churches, the Homeless Coalition. There are many ways that many organizations can validate that they know this person, medical records, for example, that they know who they are, that they have their date of birth, and that they know where they live. Although the residency is not an issue anymore, you can be from out of state, it can be college students. The idea now is to get people vaccinated. So
if you have a
please, if
check
you want to get
cashing card-
vaccinated, don't hesitate because of that.
So some of the check cashing places provide check cashing ID cards. Would that be an acceptable ID?
It has your name and date of birth. Yeah.
Okay. And then for children, for those that are 16 to 18, if their guardian either doesn't have, does the guardian need to have a picture ID, or if, in some cases, I know we have some young people that want to get vaccinated, their parents are afraid to go in with them?
Nobody has to be afraid to go in and get vaccinated. This is not a trap. This is not a get you kind of situation. What we're asking is that the name is accurate, so when we look that name up, that we can be consistent with the name and the date of birth.
Okay.
Those are the important things. The address is also important so that we know what zip code you live in, because we're tracking zip codes, right? But it's not to go out and locate you. That information in Florida Shots is completely confidential. None of the information that we have given out by zip code is identified in any shape, way, or form. So please, people, do not be afraid to get vaccinated because of addresses or, Social Security cards or anything like that. We don't ask for those things.
Okay. All right. I think that was it that came in. It's a challenge, though, that we have folks in our community that are afraid of the authorities. They're afraid, and but it seems like you have a way to assist them. Last thing on the guardians, If a 16 to 18-year-old, does the guardian need to be there in person with them?
Yes.
Okay.
Or someone with the authority to be there for them. So if especially if you have a different name that a lot of us have from our kids and ourselves, just make sure you have something to explain, or if you notarize something that so-and-so has the ability to go and represent me, make sure your names are all appropriate.
Okay.
But when you get there, if you have any trouble, there's always people to help you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Very good. That seems to, well, we have some more comments have popped up. Okay, Commissioner Marino, you're up.
I'll be brief. Commissioner Weinroth, thank you for your earlier comments. And I just want to remind people that years ago, businesses can do what they want. And years ago, there used to be a sign on a door near a beach that said, no shoes, no shirt, no service. So, we are not telling businesses what to do. They're making the best decision for their employees and their staff. We all need to continue to make the best decision. I know most of us up here have been vaccinated, so we are going out. Many pictures have been taken of us without our masks. A lot of them have been taken outside. So I just remind everyone to please use common sense. If you're sick, wear a mask. If you're near somebody, have them wear a mask, or you wear a mask. The numbers of flu have been down because everybody has been washing their hands. We were all taught to wash our hands when we were children. Now we have a stark reminder of why that was important back then. It's so important now. And hopefully people will just use common sense in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Neiman, you wanted to be recognized?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to publicly thank and recognize Dave Bahar and Ms. Simba Matumba, who've done a tremendous amount of work through the night and on weekends ever since COVID was brought to our attention. So I just wanted to publicly recognize and thank them.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to recognize Dr. Alonso and Mary Blakely for all you have done, and with your partners and our Commander-in-Chief to my left, to make this vaccine available to anybody in this county who wants it. The bottom line is that if you want it, you can get it. It's made available to so many people from the very beginning of our vaccination process. I think we have handled this extremely well. To the largest geographic county in the state of Florida, probably one of the most diverse populations in the state. You have done an amazing job at making us all safe. If you want it, you can get it. And thank you for making that available every step. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sachs. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. Dr. Alonso, just a quick question. You had mentioned in regards to the 12 to, I guess, to 15-year-old would be able to get the Pfizer shot. Have we thought about a process in terms of, since I think it's Pfizer, how would they get those shots? Is it through the healthcare district?
They can get it through all the different avenues. They will have it in their doctor's offices. They will have it through our mobile vans, and they will have it through the health department. We're also vaccinating our patients that are in the clinics. So there's lots of vaccine now.
I'm saying the Pfizer shots, are they in those clinics also? Do they
Yes.
have? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'm going to also repeat what's been said before. Obviously, our county is special. We are, during the best of times, able to do a lot for our constituents, but during this pandemic, we've definitely shown that we can dig down and keep our residents safe. I know, again, we've said it several times, our county administrator has been doing double duty as our incident commander throughout this period of time, and we certainly compliment you for the 48 hours a day that you put in every day. And certainly, we have a lot of thanks to go around, and we have collaborated with our partners, and it's important that this continue. One last message for our residents: the mass vaccination sites that the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County has been holding in South County, Mid County, and North County will not be open after the end of the month. So if you are contemplating using one of those sites for your vaccinations, it's now or never. There will be plenty of places to get vaccinations after the end of the month, Publix and other facilities, but the mass vaccination sites will be closed. So please, if you can, if it's something that you think that you want to do, you should begin the vaccine now, and let's all get past this. So on that, I thank you both for your update today.
Thank you.
We're now going to move into our regular agenda, and we're going to do the first item, which is 5A1 on airports. This particular item has to be on the regular agenda because it is a contract that is over a threshold of $325,000, and therefore it could not be on a consent agenda, but I'm going to look for a motion to approve this amendment number 6. It's been moved by Commissioner Weiss, seconded by Commissioner Sacks. I see no comment cards. I see no discussion. All in favor, all opposed. That passes 7-0. Okay, that takes us to item 5B1, and 5B1 is a bit ministerial. We're making some changes to our web address, and this is basically to bring us in conformity with the with state or federal regulations. So I'm going to look for a motion to approve. Motion to approve by Commissioner Marino, second by Commissioner Sacks. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, that 5B, 1A and B are approved 7-0. I have, you want to comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, just for the public to understand, what we just did was we are creating a new, 2 new domain names, palmbeachcounty.fl.gov and palmbeachco.gov. This is being recommended by CISA. This will provide additional security both for the public and for governmental agencies. And I want to thank Archie and ISS. It's a big undertaking to make a change to these URLs. But this was absolutely the right thing to do, and I really appreciate the efforts that you all are going to be undertaking to bring this to fruition.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just to confirm with our county administrator, the old addresses will still work at least near term?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so our emails will not suddenly quiet down. I mean, we wouldn't mind that sometimes, but thank you, Archie. All right, we're going to move on now to item 5C1. Am I on the right one? Okay. 5C1. Do we have, this was an item that was originally brought before us at our last meeting, and we deferred it, and I assume there'll be some conversation about it. So, and I'll remind the board that there's been a change to our agenda, and that they will not require a supermajority for this item to be approved. And I will, I'm sorry? Yeah, he has a comment card in. All right, I'll take a staff presentation on the Scripps transaction.
Good morning, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator. Isami Ayala, Director for Facilities Development and Operations. With me today is Barbie Bogaira, Director for FDO Division of Property and Real Estate Management, and Assistant County Attorney Howard Falcom. This item recommends approval of a county deed in favor of the Scripps Research Institute, conveying approximately 70 acres of the Brigger Tract without reservation of mineral and petroleum rights, pursuant to the ground lease agreement between Palm Beach County and Scripps. On February 28, 2006, the board approved an agreement for donation and purchase and sale of what is commonly referred to as the Brigger site, consisting of approximately 70 acres. Parcel number 1, which represents 30 acres, was donated by the seller, the Lester family and others, and Parcel number 2, 40 acres, was acquired by the county for $16 million. The seller, thank you, grantor retained an adjacent 100 acres parcel. Combined, these properties were envisioned to be part of the biotech cluster. On the Brigger side, 1.6 million square feet of biotech uses were expected. On the seller's retained parcel, 2.4 million square feet were expected. On May 2nd, 2006, the board approved the grant agreement with the Scripps Research Institute, which included as an exhibit a ground lease agreement for the Brigger site. On January 24, 2012, the board executed the ground lease agreement. Article 13 of the agreement provides for the conveyance of the Brigger site to Scripps at the expiration of the ground lease agreement, provided that Scripps is not in material default. On January 27, 2021, Scripps sent a formal notice exercising its option to purchase the property. The ground lease expired on February 6, 2021. Conveyance must occur within 90 days as long as Scripps is not in material default of the grant or lease agreement. The ground lease references the grant agreement as to what constitutes material default. In summary, the ground lease provides that Scripps will be in material default if it vacates, abandons, closes, or relocates operations out of PBC, fails to operate, incurs in material default under the FAU sublease, and/or is the subject of bankruptcy-related proceedings or assignments. To staff knowledge, none of these conditions currently exist. Upon conveyance, the property will be subject to restrictions as per the Declaration of Covenants. Let's review them. The grantor's parcel, the 100 acres I mentioned before, is restricted for biotech uses as part of the biotech cluster until February 6, 2021. This restriction carries simultaneously to both county properties. An automatic 5-year extension to the restriction on the grantor's parcel, per the Declaration of Covenants, provided that as of February 6, 2021, 50% or more of the grantor's parcel had been purchased, developed, or was in the process of being developed for biotech uses. On February 1st, 2021, the declarant successor notified all stakeholders of the extension of the use restriction. Therefore, parcel number 1 is further restricted until February 2031. In summary, parcel number 2 is restricted until February 2026, and parcel number 1 is restricted until 2031. However, the grantor's successor and Scripps could agree to amend the restrictions to provide for an earlier termination or non-biotech uses. Staff, as stated before, staff first brought this item to the board's attention during the April 20th regular meeting. At the time, the board postponed consideration of the item and requested staff to provide additional information regarding valuation of the property and other matters related to the grant agreement and the ground lease. As it relates to valuation, it must be noted that conveyance of the property to Scripps was approved as part of the 2006 grant agreement and the 2012 ground lease, subject to subsequent conditions. That is, that no material default exists under the grant or ground lease agreements. Therefore, an updated appraisal was not obtained in preparation for this item, recommending approval of the county deed. In November 2006, at the time of closing on the Brigger property, staff obtained 2 appraisals for the parcels, resulting in an estimated market value for the fee simple state of $33.5 million and $36.6 million. In August 2012, staff obtained an additional appraisal for the 70-acre property, resulting in an estimated market value of $40 million for the fee simple state unencumbered by the Scripps lease. Following board's direction as provided during the April 20, 2021 meeting, based on recent conversations with the property appraiser's office, the current assessed value of the property for 2020 is $27,553,479. The property appraiser's office expects to update the valuation for 2021 as part of the regular review process. As additional information, the recent sale of approximately 32 acres of the grantor's retained property that triggered the automatic 5-year extension under the Declaration of Covenants was executed as an approximated cost of $1 million per acre. During its April 20th meeting, the board also asked staff to provide clarification as to the $3 million that the City of Palm Beach Gardens committed towards offsetting the costs associated with the acquisition of the Brigger site. In February 2006, the county and the city entered into an interlocal agreement through which the city committed to expend up to $3 million for infrastructure improvements, concurrency reservation, and/or land purchase cost to acquire 70 acres of real property within the Brigger tract. As a result, funding resulting from the interlocal agreement to offset the costs associated with the purchase of the Brigger site were used towards the preparatory and development tasks associated with the acquisition, included but not limited to due diligence and professional services required to file the joint application for development of regional impact application, future land use amendment, planned community development, and conceptual environmental resource permit, among others. The resolution authorizing the negotiated sale of public improvement revenue bond anticipation notes in the amount of $60,322,600 for the acquisition of the Brigger site was approved by the board in November 2006, the same month in which closing on the property took place. As a final remark, please note that this item provides for the execution of contractual obligations approved under the 2006 grant agreement and the 2012 ground lease agreement. This concludes our presentation, and we will address questions as you deem it appropriate.
Thank you very much. I don't see any questions yet. I know we are going to have a presentation. Mr. Hertz, do you want to be recognized first? Okay, Mr. Bingham. Mr. Bingham represents Scripps. He's Executive Vice President, and you are recognized to let us know a little bit about this transaction.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman and Commissioners, County Administrator Baker, County Attorney, and staff. Really appreciate the time
Doug,
and
your
effort.
mic isn't on.
My mic is not on.
Oh, there you go.
Fine, just get a little closer.
I appreciate the time and effort all you have put in on this matter. It's I know from the last time it's been a fire drill of the past 2 weeks. It has been for me, so I know it has been for you too. Anyway, I appreciate everyone's time. I wanted to give, here we are. I wanted to give a quick presentation as to some of the things that Scripps has accomplished since it's been here. Oh, I have the slide thing. There we go. So our mission is basic biomedical research, education, and training of scientists. We are a nonprofit organization. And since since Scripps Florida has opened in Florida, we have received and expended $644 million in research grants here in the county. We currently have a graduate program that's nationally ranked and has 90 students in it right now, full-time students. We've had over 170 families of patent applications submitted by our faculty in Florida, and we've averaged spinning out a new startup company once a year. This is a list of some of the companies. It's 14 of them. We're very proud of these companies. We expect great things from them. We have science education is just basically part of our DNA. We work with primary schools, we work with secondary schools, we work with colleges, we work with postgraduate training. Between the summer of 2005 through October 20, we've trained over 1,826 individuals on Scripps Florida campus. There's been 271 students go through our postdoctoral or are in our postdoctoral program, PhD program. We've had 689 postdoctoral fellows trained there. We've had 823 interns from various high schools and colleges, most of them local. Most of the college students are from the Wilkes Honors College on the FAU campus. It's very important for them, and it's very important for us to have access to those young minds. They keep you young. They bring new ideas. We also have a program where we interact with the county's high school science teachers, and we provide them with a little bit of lab experience on occasion and lesson plans. Many of you know that our graduate program is is nationally ranked. It's usually ranked, the chemistry program is currently ranked 6th in the nation. The biological sciences program is ranked 10th in the nation. So we're a top 10 graduate program here locally. We just got reaccredited by WASC, which is the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, I guess. And that's a 10-year accreditation here in Palm Beach County. We not only, this relationship with the county is a partnership. It's a partnership with FAU. It's a partnership with the state. We're all working hard to make this a success. One of the things that we've been asked to look at is our economic impact. We use the in-plan model that many of you are familiar with. It's used by many local governmental agencies. We look at the direct spending on wages. We looked at the direct spending on services and supplies. We also looked at indirect spending by businesses as a result of in our supply chain. And it also assesses induced spending by workers on items such as real estate, meals, taxes, and insurance, and other items. So if you look at that, the total economic impact since we've been open for business down here is $3.2 billion. Oops. Thank you. The total impact has been $3.2 billion. The direct impact was 1.4, indirect was 1, and induced impact was $800 million. So we're very proud of those numbers. Our NIH grant take, which is an external indicia of our success is in terms of our science, competitive-wise. You have University of Miami, University of Florida, and Florida State all have medical schools. You can see University of South Florida also has medical school. We pull in more NIH dollars than Florida State, and we do not have a medical school. We also have a faculty that's teeny compared to the other institutions. So I won't bore you with the publication stuff, but this just shows you that we're very, scientifically, we're very recognized for our publication rate and quality. Philanthropy has been, a challenge on occasion because of economic conditions all across the country for all institutions like ourselves. We went through the 2008, 9, 10 recession. We've had some dips since then. We now have Herbert Wertheim has just joined the board. He's a Palm Beach resident and philanthropist. He's given, I think he founded the FIU medical school. So we look forward to working with Herbie in terms of raising money for some of our translational science programs. Some of the things that we do that are beneficial to the county that aren't apparent at first glance are we generate a lot of press releases for the science we do and some of the other programs we do, and that earns national coverage, local and national coverage, South Florida regional coverage. And that to purchase that media is called earned. It's would cost $3.5 million. That's what you call earned media coverage. We've recently become more digitally aware and more digitally savvy in terms of our PR, and so our earned media doubled from 2019 to 2020. It's on track to more than double again between 2020 and 2021. And all that media reflects, very positively on Palm Beach and its economy and its culture. So we've had billboards up all over the county on occasion. They'll probably disappear during the summer, but during the season, we make sure we have a presence on the highways as well. That's old-fashioned, I know. We're part of the business community and cultural community of the county. We're members of the BDB, Enterprise Florida, Palm Beach Civic Association, North Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. We participate in these. We are very active in these communities. And finally, our job creation efforts. Actually, not finally. It's next to last. Now, early on, we helped recruit the Max Planck Institute here. We supported the recruitment of the United Technologies Carrier Global Corporate Headquarters in Jupiter or Palm Beach Gardens. We've helped recruit Alphazyme and XVax and Onvo Maurice and Bacon Therapeutics recently. We've helped FAU successfully gain state designation as a cancer center of excellence in partnership with Memorial Health. You know, we worked long and hard to with Tenet Healthcare to try to have a medical research facility built on the Brigger property. That was almost a 2.5-year effort in the 2011, 12, 13 timeframe. It's a while back for most of you, but that took a lot of time and effort. Unfortunately, because of the CON law, didn't actually come to fruition. We listed the property with CBRE for I think approximately 18 months, and they were not able to find any interest in that property for biotech for uses that were conform with restrictions. We certainly have given enough tours of that property. There's a path through it from all the tours we take. It is not, as unlike it was represented at the last meeting, it is not virgin land anymore. It is, you know, to meet the Army Corps permit, we had to do extensive grading and moving of earth to meet the surface water runoff and mitigation issues to get the permit. So it's not pristine land. You know, we early on worked with Alexandria Real Estate Equities to have an incubator built. It's in the town of Jupiter. It is now mostly occupied. We worked with Seven Kings Holdings to get a biotech incubator built at the Institute of Healthy Living. And we've worked with FAU most recently to help get their new neuroscience building built with a incubator on the top floor. So we've been active in trying to help this cluster grow. We continue to invest in the technology on campus. You know, we moved into the main facility in 2009, so it's 11 years old now. The technology, you know, doesn't stay current. You have to invest in it. We recently just purchased a $6.5 million cryo-EM microscope for structural determinations. We have recently acquired the largest natural products collection in the world in a non-governmental setting, and that's on our campus now. We have just upgraded our robotics. We've just upgraded our IT infrastructure. We've just upgraded our chemistry facilities. So you have to, in our business, we live or die by the quality and currency of the technology, and so we just have to constantly be investing in it, and we are doing that. You don't do it for the short term, you do it for the long term. So finally, I'd like to say that we're very proud of what we've done here. We have over 500 employees on the campus and students on the campus right now. It'll grow now that COVID is becoming more under control. I cannot reiterate enough that we feel like we're part of this community now. I myself have moved here, have a house here, enjoy it immensely. The Institute and its board are steadfast in its commitment to this community. And we look forward to another decade of exciting science. It's hard to look farther than a decade in this business. A decade's a long time. 2 years is a long time in science, but we're still in the golden age of biomedical research. It's really, really exciting right now. So, any questions?
Thank you, Doug. Yes, we have a couple of questions. First from Commissioner Sachs.
Mayor, do we have any other cards that will be speaking today?
We have one speaking and one non-speaking. Oh, we have several, I'm sorry.
Okay, I think I'm going to wait.
Okay.
I don't have any questions for you right now, gentlemen, sir. But I think I'll wait until we have public, do we have anybody else
Very good.
speak, and then I'll speak up.
Commissioner Marino,
Thank
do you want to wait? Okay. Commissioner Bernard, would you please announce the speakers?
Sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Cliff Hertz, are you still going to? We do have Cliff Hertz followed by Constance Scott.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, for the record, Cliff Hertz. I'm here on behalf of Scripps Research Institute. I'm going to be very short. I sent you all an email last Friday with a detailed analysis regarding the transaction that's in front of you. I'm not going to reiterate everything that was in there. I'm just here to let you know that if you have any questions regarding the content of that communication, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hertz.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Constance Scott is a non-speaking card, and she waived in support of Scripps deed approval.
Very good.
And then we do have one public comment that was submitted online, if we can approve.
Would you read into the record?
Okay. The message is from Michael Deloy. It states, to the Board of County Commissioners, I urge you to vote to approve the transfer of the Brigger Tract to Scripps Research Florida as required by the contract between the county and Scripps. There are primarily two reasons to do this. First of all, Scripps has been an unqualified success story for Palm Beach County. The Scripps campus has been established and grown enormously. Scripps has had a large and positive financial impact on the county, bringing in sizable research grants and churning out first-class research. It has also provided many education opportunities for local high school and college students, as well as in operating a graduate school of the highest caliber. Secondly, Scripps has more than met the requirements of the contractual agreement with the county. Therefore, the Brigger Tract should be transferred to Scripps as legally required. If the county chooses not to stand by its word and complete the requirements of the contract, Palm Beach County will forever brand it as an untrustworthy business partner. Any business thinking of starting an operation in the county will think twice about doing so. Denying the approval of the property transfer would just be a continuation of the legacy of Corruption County and be yet another black eye for the county. Other consequences of denying the transfer of the property must also be considered. A denial would cast a dark cloud over the Scripps operation here in Florida and could likely result in the eventual closure of the facility. Obviously, there would be costly, drawn-out litigation. Any thoughts of establishing a biotech cluster will be gone. This would be bad for Scripps and bad for the county. There are no winners if this is the path taken by you today. For these reasons, I urge you to do the right thing and vote to approve the transfer of the Brigger property to Scripps, Florida. That's from Michael J. Deloy.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard. And I'm not going to read into the record, but all of us have received a letter from Dr. Kelly on behalf of FAU and from Noel Martinez, the CEO and president of Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce, in full support of this transaction. I'm now going to recognize Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank my colleagues for giving us an opportunity to delay this so that we could all review the records, and I have. I want to, first of all, state that the letter from President Kelly from FAU, which has established a northern campus there by Scripps, was very compelling. Also, I have checked, Kelly Smallridge has stated that they have participated, Scripps has participated in industry marketing efforts. That is important. Also, when I reviewed my past notes on Scripps, when I was in the legislature, I brought to Scripps, and they opened up a tour for us, the Consul General from the government of Israel, and we met with the scientists and the leaders of Scripps at that time. That led to Technion Israel, which is one of the leading technological institutes in the world, founded by Albert Einstein, to decide to locate their offices here in Palm Beach County, which is huge because the only other place they had located outside of the state of Israel was Cornell University, but they're now at FAU's medical school, which I think has received a lot of acclaim because of its proximity and its interactions with Scripps Institute. And of course, the most important thing, in my mind, is that our county attorneys have blessed this deal. It is a contract. It was done before any of us was here on the board. And they have said that it is a legally binding contract, and I will abide by a contract entered into by the county because it is, and that's what I should do. So I will certainly go along with this contract, not only for those reasons, but especially because if we wish to grow in technology and innovation, we need to make sure that we have a good and solid anchor with Scripps here in the North County. So I bless it. I think it's good, and I urge my colleagues to do so as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Sacks. Commissioner McKinley.
Thank you, Commissioner Sacks. It's nice to hear that former legislative perspective. I'm in my 5th year on the Business Development Board, and so was able to have a long conversation with my fellow board members and with Kelly Smallridge, and feel quite comfortable that Scripps has met its contractual obligations on this, on their facility and regarding this piece of property. We were kind of handed a deal that was negotiated and signed signed by a previous Board of County Commissioners. While I don't think that this board would have approved something similar today, it is what it is what has been said to me several times, and I think that not approving it sends the wrong message to other organizations that may be looking to relocate into Palm Beach County and may have to be dependent upon similar type contracts and contractual obligations and incentive programs, whatever you want to call them, to approve something and then 10 years later say you don't like it isn't a good standard. And so while I told Doug yesterday that I wasn't going to be an enthusiastic cheerleader on this, I do think that we need to move it forward and approve it today and live up to our obligations since they have lived up to theirs, and so I will be supporting this today.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinley. Commissioner Bernard, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'm not going to be supporting this transaction. I've spoken to Scripps and I spoke to Mr. Cliff Hurts, and I told him that I wouldn't support the transaction. The taxpayers, in the state of Florida, we spent over, I believe, $300 million from the state, close to $300 million from the state, $300 million from the county, and as Isme stated, the property is valued with the assessed value is $27,553,479. The appraisal that was done in 2012 was about $40 million, and this is about $1 million an acre. So once the restrictions are removed, we're basically approving a property that's worth close to $70 million for $1, and as a county commissioner, I just don't think that it's appropriate for me to support giving a $70 million property for $1. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard. Commissioner Weiss, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to go ahead and I don't think a motion's been made on this item. I want to move to approve the conveyance.
All right, we're going to have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Marino.
And I will be supporting this item. This contract was entered into, as was mentioned, by a previous board, but the obligations under the contract have been fulfilled by Scripps, and therefore I believe it's my responsibility to abide by that contract to the integrity of this county, and so I will be supporting this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. I might have a little bit more of a unique perspective than everybody else as mayor of the city of Palm Beach Gardens. I came to this building and met with Virginia Baker and Hal Valashay, previous county commissioner, Doug Bingham, and several other people, and it was to try to find ways to make that property work, and there have always been stumbling blocks along the way. But I would like to share a couple of things that haven't been said. For the many of you out there, I have gotten no letters saying we should not convey the land. All the letters I have received have been in support of it. I would also like to share some information from Kelly Smallridge of the Business Development Board. And obviously, the Business Development Board is in favor of this because Scripps has been an actual very important component of their marketing over the years. They have entertained all the prospects that were brought to them. They are part of the familiarization tour, say that 3 times fast, the familiarization tour that Scripps has of our county. They've opened up their facility anytime they need to show whatever innovation is going on at that point in time. And they're also a part of the Life Sciences Advisory Council. So that's one component. The other component is, let's talk about what they've actually done for the county, and the fact that Florida Atlantic University in Jupiter is the only place on the planet where Scripps and Max Planck, the world's 2 top research institutes in biomedical science, and it is ranked by Nature Index, so that's a wonderful thing. Florida Atlantic University Brain Institute in Jupiter also holds the prestigious Nikon Center of Excellence designation. These happen because they're partners with Scripps. In just the past 2 years, over 20 companies chose to locate to Palm Beach County. 2 life science accelerators are already on the near horizon, with plans to host up to 50 startup companies joining an established 14 hospitals and numerous medical facilities. Over 700 companies are in Palm Beach County, primarily engaged in activities from research and development or manufacturing of biotechnologies, medical devices, and pharmaceuticals to the environmental and biological sciences, manufacturing the future of life sciences. There have been a total of 80 new projects that have occurred in our county since Scripps put their flag here, with over 6,000 new and retained jobs. I would say that is a pretty huge financial impact for our county. So yes, I second the motion, and I think we should call the question.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I'll just make some final comments. And I said at the last meeting that there may be some disappointment that this didn't become a thriving biotech hub, but I think that it's been pointed out by Mr. Bingham that they have made every effort they could to try and make this a biotech hub. We may have seller's remorse, but I think, as been pointed out several times, I think it's important for this body to respect the decisions that were made before us. And notwithstanding our feelings that maybe we would have negotiated differently, a body before us made the decision that this was the right thing to do, and hindsight is 20/20. But I will support this. I want to demonstrate that Palm Beach County is open for business, and we are here to embrace new businesses coming here. We continue to be here to embrace new businesses coming here. And as Kelly Smallridge continues to tell me, her phone keeps on ringing because there are a lot of people up north who want to be down here with us. So anything that would stop that migration south would be ill thought of. So I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Marino. I'm going to call for a roll call on this just to make sure we have all of the votes. And so would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernard.
No.
Commissioner Kerner.
Commissioner Kerner, are you on? We'll show him as absent.
Commissioner Marino.
Yes.
Commissioner McKinley. Commissioner Sacks? Yes. Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Vice
And-
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, the vote is 5-1, and it passes. Thank you, and thank you to Scripps for being a good corporate partner. Okay, we are going to move on now to item 5D1. This is planning and zoning, and it's a motion for a conceptual restricting timeline for proposed commission district maps. Can we have a quick presentation on this? Obviously, our census data is coming out. We don't have anything specific as far as our county. We have heard that we're getting a new congressional seat in Florida, and at some point we'll be redistricting our 7 seats. So you can let us know how that's going to work.
Vice Mayor, good morning. Pat Rutter, Assistant County Administrator. With me this morning, Patricia Ben, Planning Director, Kevin Fisher, Deputy Planning Director, and Bob Banks from the County Attorney's Office. This with a cast of other folks, including ISS, Archie Satchel's staff, will be your redistricting team moving forward. So just want to give you a quick timeframe on redistricting for post-2020 census. Be a little bit different this year than previous versions because of the delays, which we'll talk about in a second, and the delivery of the information. So just a quick recap of 2020 census. Work began in summer of 2018, moved through the fall of 2020. Certainly appreciated many of the efforts a number of you brought forth with getting the word out to the public, certainly on the self-reporting information. Much appreciated working through a pandemic, never done that before. We appreciate all the help, and we hope that we will see good numbers and good results for ourselves. Just data on the self-response rates, we did better than the state of Florida's self-response rate. Ours was 64.7%. The states came in at 63.8%. And again, I think that a lot of that was resulting from the hard work and messaging that a number of folks did, including public affairs as well. So we move then into redistricting. Our guiding statute is in Chapter 124, and to cut to the chase, it says redistricting needs to be done in odd-numbered years. We are in an odd-numbered year. Typically, we would have the data in our hands right now, post a census, or would have begun receiving some of the data. We have been told rather consistently that we will not have this information until September. Mid-September, could be late September, might even trickle into October for all we know. But we do not, going to be a broken record. We will not have the luxury of time to absorb it and do a lot of contemplation when we do receive it. We will be on a very short time clock to meet the 2021 in this odd-numbered year deadline. Next slide, just a quick one showing the current commission maps that we have that are standing that we'll be looking at as we reflect on the census data that comes forward. So again, the data would have been in a traditional release census. We would have information at this point and would be continued to receive it. Not. It will be September. And there are no extensions to the requirement to perform redistricting in this odd-numbered years, meaning this year for us. So we are moving forward and are prepared to do it in an expeditious fashion when we receive the data. We're also working with the school district, as we've done in previous census versions, and kind of coordinating our efforts using the same consultant, sharing efforts, sharing data, things of that sort, and we'll continue to do so. So what we are going to be doing, we touched on looking at the American Community Survey, and that is another source of data related to population and other demographics. And we've taken a look at that and trying to develop some sort of not so much time frames, but versions of where we might see things going, working from 2010 census, using some 2015 data, 2019 data. Are we seeing any trends? We will be working with that and through that, working with the software and the new technology we have available to us to have an idea of what we're going to be performing, but at the end of the day, nothing will be official until we receive that census data and have the actual information. So we've begun that work. Again, we'll be working with the school district, coordinating our efforts, and you'll be seeing that information. Obviously, be working with board and sharing that information as we work our way through the summer into the fall. Last slide is just that timeline. So you'll see us again in June. We'll have the contract with our consultant, be bringing that forward as we work through the summer into the fall, have the parameters set, make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed with our consultant. We're performing whatever tasks, have our information prepared, ready to go to move quickly once we receive the data. Hoping to get that information in September. Following those dates, you can see there, we're going to have about a month internally to work on the information. And we are identifying a November 2nd date to come back to this board with the preliminary, the conceptual maps based on the review of the information, then bringing it for permission to advertise at the end of November, and then adopting them in first meeting in December. Again, short time clock, short time frame. That leaves us 3-4 weeks or so to work on it. We're prepared to do it. We know that's going to be the case. We really don't have a choice, but we will be there, and it will get done, and it will be done right. So with that, we are all here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Rutter. And just for a point of information for our residents, the even-numbered seats on this body will be up for election in '22. The qualification period for that will be next year, so none of this will be impacting any potential candidates for seats 2, 4, or 6. So I see no red lights, no questions on this matter. Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
I just have one question, and fine, we will work really quickly with you when you get that in September. There's no reason to contemplate anything when it comes to redistricting. Will we, this is the question, will we have the same software that is made available to the legislature for their legislative redistricting?
Not sure what software brand they use. I can tell you that ISS and planning staff were using we're test driving a software functionality last week, I believe it was. Very comfortable with it, works very well. We're ready to go with it.
And the second question is this. Thank you, Mayor. When we had the redistricting in the state for legislative, congressional seats, et cetera, we got the software. We had a committee that got the software, and then we opened it up for committee meetings to the public. Will that be necessary if you've already reviewed the software? Will there be that many dynamic changes in the districts, 7 districts of this county commission, that we may need to require or to contemplate public meetings to review the difference in the numbers of the districts?
I'm going to hesitate to predict anything any more than necessary until we have the information. Again, looking at some of the census data and the ACS data and trends, we're not seeing a whole lot by way of change, but we're not going to say anything definitive until we have the information in our hand, the official data that we're using in hand as it relates to timing and being able to discuss with the public. My broken record, we're on a short time frame. We're going to need our time to review it ourselves, discuss it with board members, discuss it internally. The time to be able to go out might be limited, but we can have those conversations with the board as we get closer.
So you will, I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
Patrick is absolutely correct. We will bring this back to this board in public meetings. We will share with you the information. We will make ourselves available to meet with you and various community groups. But because of the very short time frame, we will not be able to go out to the various communities and start all over. We do not anticipate, based on the information we have, unless the census final numbers come back and they're totally out of whack compared to the ACS from 2019, we do not anticipate significant changes unless this board decides to do something totally different.
Thank you so much, Madam Administrator. That answers the questions that I had. You'll get the numbers. They don't seem at this point to be vastly different than what the configuration already is on our population. And then as soon as we get them, at least I will certainly, and I know my colleagues will work closely with you to get it done. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Administrator.
Thank you, Commissioner Sachs. And I am surprised, Ms. Baker, that you've given up the fun of doing the census, having been a veteran of this, what, twice around or so far?
I think that I've paid my penance and I'm on my way to heaven if I die, 'cause I've done this twice.
You've delegated that nice task. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Commissioner McKinley, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hopefully, we won't have the Peanut Island issue that we've had in the past. Patrick, just a quick question for you. Yeah, I was around the last time we went through this as a staff member, though. Just for clarification, the seats that are up in 22 will run under the newly drawn districts.
Correct, you'll be adopting them by the end of this year.
But when they are, I remember when I ran, it was, we were getting sued, so, legal voters, they had to go and redraw all the districts again, and because of that, in those years, when you're getting your qualifying petitions signed, they can be signed from anywhere in the county because the districts haven't been finalized yet. Is that correct?
Are you familiar? That's something we need to research and be sure, but
Okay, but they will run under the newly.
correct.
Yes, we have the benefit of going after the entire county for our petitions unless they change the rules. Okay, I'm going to be looking for a motion to approve this conceptual redistricting timeline. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Sachs. And so, all in favor, all opposed? I'm sorry, you opposed? Okay, we have one opposed, and I'm not showing the mayor online, so I'm going to call it a 5-1 vote. Okay, we are done with that item. We're going to move on to board appointments, and I'm going to go down by district number, District 1.
Thank you. I would like to appoint Charles Millar to the Land Development Regulation Advisory Board and Abby Brennan to the Personnel Appeals Board.
I have a second by Commissioner, Weiss. It's been a long day. Actually, it hasn't been too long. Okay, all in favor, all opposed, show that approved 6-0. Any others? Okay, District 2.
None.
District 3 is not present. Do you have some for him? Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to appoint for the mayor to reappoint Barbara Roth to the Planning Commission.
I have a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor, all opposed, that's approved 6-0. That's it?
I have none.
Okay, very good. District 4 has none. District 5.
Thank you, Mayor. District 5 would like to appoint Dr. Richard Stopek to the Planning Commission.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor, all opposed, 6-0. Thank you. District 6, none. District 7,
None.
okay, very good. We move on to our county administrator. What you got to say for yourself over there?
I'll be quick. On board directives, just an update. You gave us direction on April 6th to do a couple of letter writing campaigns, and Mr. Bonlaren took those on. The Florida Retirement System, all of the letters were written and submitted, but through our legislative delegation under Mr. Bonlaren and working with our lobbyist, the Florida Retirement System legislation failed. We are happy about that because part of our retirement, our pension plan is what brings people to county government. And that's the selling point when we're going after especially professionals that we're looking to bring to the county and paying less than the fair market value in the private sector, pensions help sell that. So that failed. We did complete the proclamation honoring Congressman Alcee Hastings at our last board meeting. The employee organization legislation also, that's been completed and that did not move forward. Business relocation incentives, we reviewed the latest 94 policy and researching possible incentives. I spoke with Ms. Kelly Smallridge on this matter and a number of other issues, so we'll continue to cooperate and work together on continuing to diversify our economy here. And the paid parental leave that has been completed. Singer Island submerged land staff is still working through that process. And PZB and the county attorney's office are researching the development proposal and the pending litigation. And then the others are well written out, so I won't go through all of those. But that is the update. I do have three things that have come to my attention this morning, which is good news, and I think we can always use some good news. So one of them is that our very own Doug Crane, who is our library director and an excellent one at it, he has been chosen as Librarian of the Year. And so we want to congratulate Mr. Crane. He and his staff were outstanding and still are working with us during our extraordinary challenges, working with the ISS. One of the visions I had was especially for communities that did not have access to the internet. We extended our Wi-Fi to our campuses at our libraries. So anybody at any time could pull up, work off of our Wi-Fi in the parking lots and on the grounds. You could bring a blanket and lay it down, and students in particular could definitely work from that. So I'd like to thank him. I think he's done an excellent job for us, and I know that he will continue along with his staff. So congratulations, Doug, on this worthy recognition as Librarian of the Year. We also received another award, and that was Library Innovation. And again, that was for our library system in partnership with Friends of the Palm Beach County Library and the Audubon Society of the Everglades. They created a birding backpack. That pack includes kits with an adult pair of professional grade binoculars, 2 children's binoculars, wipes, and a guide to the Florida birds in May of 2019. That was available in all 17 branches and the bookmobile. These kits have circulated over 270 times, 3-week circulation period, and they're to be commended because I know that was probably an awesome interaction, especially for our kids, to get out in the open air. Then water utilities also received some awards. The Palm Beach County Water Utilities Department earned 3 awards at the annual Florida Water Environmental Association Awards banquet held virtually on Tuesday. One was for regulatory compliance. Specialist Stephanie Brown was recognized by with the Albert B. Herndon Award. Additionally, that particular award recognizes individuals who have excelled in ensuring that industrial discharges to our public wastewater system meet or exceed federal and state pretreatment guidelines. Palm Beach County Water Utilities also earned honorable mention, Earl B. Phelps Award, which recognized wastewater treatment facilities which have maintained the highest removal of pollution constituents prior to discharge of treated effluent waste for both the Western Region Water Treatment Plant, wastewater treatment plant, and in Belle Glade. So we'd like to thank our staff for the hard work and being recognized for their innovative efforts. In addition, I heard from the sheriff this morning, and this impacts all of us, and he has shared that the jail has maintained their accreditation of the Adult Detention Center, and that is by the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare Association. So again, I'd like to congratulate them all for the hard work.
Thank you, and certainly, as I said before, we can be very proud of our county, and congratulations to Mr. Crane, and it's nice to have nice, clean water. Okay, can I have a motion to receive and file? Commissioner Weiss gives me a motion. I have Commissioner Bernard, who is seconded. All in favor, all opposed, passes 6-0. County Attorney,
No comments, thank you.
with all that's going on, you have no comment about executive orders or anything like that?
That I can say out loud, so.
I think she can say out loud.
Okay, we are on to item 8, Commissioner comments, and I'm going to go in reverse order this time. Commissioner Bernard, District 7.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I do want to do 2 off-site proclamations. One's going to be on behalf of the mayor. The first one's going to be on behalf of the mayor, which is an approval of a proclamation for National Day of Prayer.
I have a motion and seconded by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor, all opposed? Okay.
Okay, and for me, I do have an off-site proclamation declaring May 9th through the 15th, 2021 as Mounts Botanical Garden Week in Palm Beach County.
Second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor, all opposed? It passes.
And lastly, the month of May is recognized as Haitian Heritage Month. Therefore, I'd like to thank the Haitian people for their contributions to the U.S. and would like to encourage everyone to visit the Palm Beach County Library for events. I have a flyer that's probably why he's got the Librarian of the Year.
And they should all congratulate Mr. Crane when they go over there.
Mr. Crane. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner McKinley.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of comments. The first one, we did a press conference last week with the Palm Beach County Democratic Party where we talked about jobs plans coming out of Washington and legislation, and of course, taking into consideration the American Rescue Plan dollars that we're going to get. It's about $292 million, and we haven't really seen a proposal from staff yet. I know that they're working on drawing up a proposed plan on how to spend those dollars. I would ask that some guidance be given to staff as they develop that plan. We need to recognize that this investment is needed right now, but also recognize in the same breath that it's our children and our grandchildren that are going to be burdened with the repayment. So if we are going to spend those dollars, I would ask that we really give consideration to the duration of the impact on what we decide to spend those dollars on, and that we really look to give staff guidance to make sure that those dollars are spent on something that will have a long-term impact and a long-term return on investment. So I'm looking to things like housing and infrastructure that are solid and our future generations can benefit from. Also, taking into consideration some disturbing news that I heard this morning about these pop-up enterprises right now that are helping people, rumors anyway, that are helping people create fraudulent documents to be able to apply for some of the forgivable loans and grants that we've been given to small businesses. I remember hearing rumors late last year, a lot of young folks suddenly becoming interested in nail technicians and other type of spa services and creating business certificates and then applying for dollars. If staff could work with our Inspector General's office to continue reviewing the applications to make sure that we're not giving dollars away to entities that didn't exist prior to this pandemic. But when I heard that, I just want to make sure that that $292 million that we're spending plus interest is spent on something that has a long-term impact on our community. I want to go back, and this is the last time I hope we ever have to talk about masks. And, you know, I made some comments earlier. You know, I was elected unanimously by our colleagues across the state to serve as the president of the Florida Association of Counties, and it is quite an honor to be able to do that. And our sole mission in that organization is to protect home rule. And so recognizing that different communities had different responses. So a lot of my frustration, I don't want to get into a debate about the scientific benefits of mask wearing. It's more of a debate on being able to protect what's in the Florida Constitution, and that is home rule. And we should be able to have that ability, and we should have a seat at the table when decisions like this are being made, and that's where my frustration comes from. But in the same breath, now that this executive order has been signed, I hope our community will heal. This has become surprisingly divisive over the last year, and my family has been the target of a lot of very ugly comments, most disturbing, you know, from mothers to a mother, and attacking my children and attacking county employees and people that were just trying to do their job to protect the community. The debate's been lifted now, and it's really time that we all come back together and work on healing our community and moving past this pandemic and putting all of the nasty divisiveness of the last year behind us. And I hope that when we have matters by the public, if anybody should come to speak, that they take that into consideration before they speak, that we're ready to heal and move on. And then on a very positive note, our good friend, our wonderful state attorney, Dave Ehrenberg, turns 50 years old today, so I'm going to embarrass him by wishing him a very, very happy half-century birthday today. Happy birthday, DA. Word.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinley, and I'm sure State Attorney Ehrenberg is very happy to have us acknowledge his 50th year. Commissioner Sachs.
Just let me say, Dave, you don't look a day over 35. I'm really surprised. But happy birthday. Thank you, Mayor. And I have a couple of things that I want to say, but let me first say that the legislative session is over. And our team, Todd Bonlaren and Ed Chase, you've done an amazing job in a very, very difficult climate up there, politically as well as with COVID. Really hurt, I think, to have you not be able to connect with people as easily as it was years ago. And but you brought home the best that you can. And thank you for stopping a lot of bad bills. And I think that you deserve a big thank you from all of us here, because a lot of those bills affect us. And talk about home rule. This is where the buck stops, right at our desk. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Ed Chase, for all you do. Also, I want to thank the County Attorney's Office. This has been an amazing couple of weeks legally. Very, very, and we're not over. We're just starting. But you've really been up to the task, working on weekends, and you've got a great team. Denise, thank you for all you and for all your team on working on these tough issues today and through the week. And of course, with executive orders coming down, these are really extraordinary times. And I'm glad that you're at the helm of our county attorney's office. I also, by the way, Mayor, have a couple of requests for off-site proclamation declaring May 13th, 2021 as Judith A. Mitchell Day in Palm Beach County. And may I just go through all three of them?
Yeah, do them both.
Okay, and a request for an off-site proclamation declaring May 16th to the 22nd, 2021 Water Reuse Week in Palm Beach County.
That's been seconded by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor, all opposed. It's approved unanimously.
Thank you. We do need water. And finally, a request for an off-site proclamation declaring Monsignor Thomas J. Skindeleski Appreciation Day on behalf of Father Tom, as he is affectionately known in our community. And just let me say one last thing.
Let
Is
me
that,
just move that real quickly. Commissioner Weiss seconded it. All in favor, all opposed, it passed unanimously. Go.
thank you, Mayor. And finally, I think that as we approach the end of the tunnel, and I like to say that the light at the end is not another COVID resurgence. I think that we showed from the county administrator and her staff that education is the way to handle this mask issue. I think educating people rather than punishing people, educating them into the ways of being safe, taking care of your families, taking care of your community. And Ms. Baker, I think you have really led the way in letting people in this county understand that to be educated is to know the best way to handle this whole mask situation. I think we have done extremely well. And I want to congratulate the leadership of this county and the people of this county for following through on making sure that we stay safe. Thank you, Mayor, for that opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Sacks. Commissioner Weiss, you are up.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Let me start off. I'm going to offer up two off-site proclamations on behalf of Vice Mayor Weinroth, declaring May 14th as No Place for Hate Day and declaring May 8th as KOP Mentoring Network Ladies of Distinction Day. And also add one more in there, recognizing June 2021 as the 70th anniversary of the PAP Corps Champions for Cancer Research in Palm Beach County.
It's seconded by Commissioner Marino. All in favor, all opposed, show unanimously approved.
And then on behalf of my office, I have a number of off-site proclamations to request, declaring May 2021 as Speak Up for Kids and Guardian Ad Litem Month in Palm Beach County. May 20th, 2021 is Palm Beach County Medical Society and Services Heroes in Medicine Day. Declaring May 10th through the 14th, 2021 as Public Servant Mental Health Week, and May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Palm Beach County. And lastly, declaring May 3rd through 7th, 2021 as Palm Beach County Week, or as Small Business Week in Palm Beach County. And one more, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Palm Beach County. May 2021 is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Palm Beach County.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Marino. All in favor, all opposed, passes unanimously. Any more comments?
Just a couple brief ones. At the Water Resources Task Force meeting last week, there was a discussion. I think I just wanted to share it with the board and the public. And that has to do with water conditions in Palm Beach County as, there's a number of things going on, but something that came up last week is there's a, as you know, the Locks River, which is a scenic river in Palm Beach County, is supposed to get particular flows of water. But when that can't happen at times due to the condition of the water that's in the lake, or in this case in the L8 Canal, that water cannot be transferred to the city of West Palm Beach, which then which uses that water to share with the Locks River. So working together with South Florida Water Management District last year, we were able to, the engineers were able to come together with a solution to move water to both the city and to the Locks River. And we asked again for South Florida Water Management District to assist in this regard to help both the city of West Palm Beach, who has a surface water supply system, as well as making sure that we have adequate flows to the Locks River. As we've seen in the newspaper and on news, there's been algae blooms going on in Lake Okeechobee. They're also in the LA Reservoir as well, and so that water is not safe to be used for these regards. So we're gonna have to come up with an alternative solution like we did last year. And then with the close of the legislative session and following up on Commissioner McKinley's comments regarding home rule, The continual erosion of home rule by the Florida legislature, people don't necessarily always understand, well, why is this so important and why does this matter to me? And when you look to your local government to provide protections or to provide services, and the legislature has said no, they're not able to do that anymore, that really leaves the public, the only recourse is to go back to the state to ask for assistance, because unfortunately, situations like this, it ties the hands of your local officials. And I pride myself, and I know we all do, in providing excellent services to our constituents when issues arise, or sometimes there's disagreements. But at times, like what has happened, we can't do that. And as an example, there's been I think they passed a new bill that allows for businesses to be in neighborhoods, and the concern, of course, would be the commercialization of local neighborhoods, lack of parking, employees working in people's homes as a regular business. And we expect, our zoning to mean something, that when you buy into a neighborhood and you buy next door to your neighbor, that they're going to actually live in that house and they're not going to be running a commercial activity, or if they are, you would know about it prior to making your purchase decision. In this case, that's been taken away from local governments. So with that, I encourage everybody to stay informed and to be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. I have one request for off-site proclamation declaring May 2021 as Older Americans Month in Palm Beach County.
Commissioner Weiss says, as one of those, he's going to second it.
Well, there's a couple of us up here, but I won't name names. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Impact the Palm Beaches is an organization of ladies that each write a $1,000 check and try to really make one large $100,000 impact grant. So we hope for 100 members. We actually had over 200 members this year. So we were able to give 2 $100,000 impact grants. And I'm happy to say that the Edna W. Runner Tutorial Center in Jupiter was one of those winners. So thank you to Edna and staff. And the other one was Clinics Can Help. So thank you to Owen O'Neill and staff for all your efforts. And thank you to the ladies that supported these organizations. It is a great thing when you can give a $100,000 check to an agency whose budget, and I'll give Edna as an example, the Tutorial Center budget is, it's under $1 million. So a $100,000 grant is life-changing for the community. So thank you. I just wanted to share some good news.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino, and I'll pick up the rear end here. And for the record, that motion was approved unanimously for the off-site proclamation. In a battle of North versus South, we have a South Palm Beach Impact 100.
Yes, you do.
And I am told that 630 women signed up this year, so they have $630,000 to be distributed. They have not had their final meeting yet, so I can't tell you who is going to get it, but there will be 6 $100,000 awards made this year by Impact 100, and I certainly hats off to the women of the North and the South for their philanthropy. As has been mentioned several times, legislative session just ended. Many times we've called it the most dangerous 60 days of the year. Thank somebody, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. There were 4 of us up here who were wondering whether they would have to join the 3 of us actually 2 of us who were running for re-election, and the one open seat, and have to run, and it looks like only 3 seats will be on the ballot coming in 2022, so that's a good thing. And home rule is something that each one of us takes very, very seriously. I mean, we have 67 counties in Florida, and each one of us, as was pointed out when this pandemic started, is quite different. And I don't think we expect that anybody is going to think that Miami-Dade is the same as Palm Beach County, is the same as Okeechobee, is the same as any of the other counties in this state. So we certainly pride ourselves on the ability to be here for you as your representatives here in the county. And even within the county, we recognize there are 39 cities and towns, and we certainly allow them to make decisions for themselves. So home rule is something that we really cherish here in our county, and I'm hoping that our partners in the state will continue to recognize us and not deem it appropriate to be taking those decisions unto themselves. This has been a wonderful day as your guest chair, and I thank you for having an easy meeting, and I'm going to say we are adjourned. We are not adjourned. Wait a minute.
Until 2.
We're going to, I'm sorry, see that? I'm not completely conversed. We are recessing until 2 o'clock, and as my good friend Commissioner McKinley said, please come in and be kind. Thank you.